Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our special guest speaker, Datuk Sri Engineer Dr. Zaini Ujang, Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment and Water, Malaysia. Datuk Sri Engineer Dr. Zaini Ujang will be presenting on 5 key points on water sector post-COVID-19. Thank you, Datuk Sri, for your time in preparing for today's keynote and for your support to the Malaysian Water Association. Datuk Sri Engineer Zaini Ujang was the first recipient of the Merdeka Award for Outstanding Scholastic Achievement and has received numerous other awards. He is a professional environmental engineer whose expertise and experience lies in the field of environmental sustainability, energy security, eco-shift for corporations, eco-shift for government agencies, green technology and lifestyle, and river ecosystem rehabilitation. He also has expertise in higher education financial frameworks, entrepreneurial universities, and intellectual ecosystems. Datuk Sri Engineer Encik Zaini Ujang has vast global networking with Harvard, MIT, Columbia, Imperial College London, among others. This session will be moderated by Dr. Engineer Haji Muhammad Asari Daud, President of the Malaysian Water Association.
Dr. Zaini, you can start.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Datuk Sri boleh start.
Yeah.
Your live.
Apa dia?
You can start.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good afternoon to all participants of Malaysia International Water Convention 2021. And thank you to Dr. Engineer Asari for hosting me today again. Let me put it very clearly to participants that I'm going to talk about 5 major points, what we have learned so far, especially during COVID-19, and what we can do better for Malaysia in water sector. This could be also in other countries, similar setting with Malaysia. So let's look at this. COVID-19 is a precursor of a bigger problems. We know that we are talking about recessions. This morning, I reviewed the economic reports of many countries around this world, and then we believe that this year is very challenging for us to go to develop our economic fundamentals in particular in order for us to overcome COVID-19. But moving forward, we are being reminded that climate change will be ready and will be very severe if you are not able to mitigate them. Therefore, in Malaysia at the moment, in September, 20 years ago, it is very uncommon episodes of heavy rainfall in this part of the world. But now we have cases of flooding almost on daily basis, not only in places where we expected to have high rainfall, but also in places where we relate to a situation where it will be impossible to have flooding, especially flash flood. Therefore, we have to talk about the central theme in this new situation, which is climate change. Okay, there are many indexes in the world. The latest index, and we are trying to understand, is what we call index on world worries. We have index on world happiness, world GDP, and whatnot. world competitiveness. But world worries, the top at the moment, this is in July 2021, is coronavirus. And we have a lot of unemployment issue, poverty and social inequality, financial and political corruption, crimes, blah, blah, blah. Climate change, childhood obesity. So these are issues that people in the world around the globe are thinking and worrying about. And if you look into coronavirus, Malaysia is topping the world. Malaysian, in general, 76% of us in Malaysia are worried because of coronavirus. Compared to the closest to us is Japan, is about only 59%. Countries like Netherlands is only 34%, half Malaysian worriness. I can see that Sweden, Hungary is about 14%. Okay, but when we look into climate change, Malaysia is at the bottom, most. So only 1% of Malaysians are worried about climate change, compared to, say, for example, Canada, Germany, Australia, France, Netherlands, and the rest. We are grouped together with South Africa, Peru, Brazil, Argentina, and whatnot. So coronavirus is very technical. It's very related to our survival. And the same thing happened to climate change. Question, why climate change is not in the mind of Malaysians in general? So this is what I'm going to talk about today. And if you look into environment, the same thing. Environment is very technical, very scientific. Malaysia is rated number 4 from the bottom of the table. Yeah, so we are together with South Africa, Argentina, Peru, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. Okay, I would like to share the profile of water sector in Malaysia. Water services policy is governed by Water Services Industry Act 2006, and it's not yet in Sabah and Sarawak. The whole peninsula is already migrated to WASIA 2006. Sewerage operating and maintenance is under IWK as prescribed in the documents. I mean, the agreement and whatnot. It's a concession company. And in Sabah and Sarawak is under local authorities. Water supply coverage is 69.7. In Peninsula is 99.5. This is yet to be verified. Some numbers that I've seen is more than 79.8%.
Dr. Sri, ada screen nak share, Dr. Sri? Ada screen nak share? Do you have a screen to share?
Yeah.
I think he haven't been shared yet, Dr. Sri.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So,
why don't you tell me earlier?
because I thought I cannot see here. Oh yeah, no. Ada.
Can
Sorry.
you see that?
Ya, nampak sekarang.
Okay.
Sorry ya.
So, say for example, I go back to the previous slides. This is on climate change. Malaysia is only 1%. Malaysians are worried about climate change. And environment, only 4% Malaysians are worried about environment. Yeah, compared to, say, Germany, 18%. Okay, this is the profile that I mentioned. Water supply, 96.7%. Peninsula, 99.5%. And Sabah, which is about Sabah and Sarawak, 95%. Rural, remote areas in Sabah and Sarawak. However, what makes water professionals in Malaysia are very proud of is centralized sewerage coverage in Malaysia is about 80% in urban area. And this is not happening in many neighboring countries. I cannot tell one by one, but I'm very sure they are less than 10%, except Singapore and Brunei. Yeah. Capital investment operators are under water operators, and there are some federal loans given to capital investment in water as well as water resources. So if you look into issues related to the profile, number 1 is governance. WASIA is now the main framework in Peninsula, need to be discussed and need to be examined whether it has benefited or as what intended to be. And water resources in terms of governance is something big for us to look at. the second point is financial models. Throughout, we have seen that the model is ready for water services, but water resources is heavily subsidized. I would say that 99% or 95% are subsidized. Water security is not clearly indicated in documents related to financial models. As it is now, it is subsidized, yeah, 100%. And we also can think of water efficiency because it is subsidized. Efficiency became an issue for stages and increasing of revenues. And we are also having action, footprint and whatnot. Last week, Government of Malaysia has already agreed to embark on carbon trading. And this is a big thing. When it is on carbon trading, water operators, sewerage companies can make money from carbon trading. So you can reduce your carbon and you can have some kind of investment based on carbon reduce given or traded with those who are interested to get the credit for that. So this is something big. Then this is also can be a revenue stream for water companies. And the fifth one, which is topic on public participation. Let's work on this. You can see that these are issues that we have to revisit. Yeah, I think this is issues. Water resources, federal grants at the moment, let it be because it is easier for us to structure the grants in the future by having new financial or alternative financial models. As we indicate, pricing. So let me talk about financial model first. Water services, as far as we are concerned, it is for water supply and sewerage. By RAC, both should be handling under different regimes. It's not under concessions. So concession is to be phasing out as far as WSIA is concerned. Our sewerage structure is still under concession until 2034. We have renewed the contract recently. As far as water security is concerned, it is not clearly defined in our financial models. So this is to be revisited. We are trying to moving from highly dependent on public finance or public financing to financing. Say, for example, we have this at the moment, water resources. This is development budget. Water supply services. This is loan, grant, and capital market from PAAP or asset. PAAP is asset. Water asset. Corporation. Corporation. Perbadanan. Pengurusan, yeah, management, yeah. Sewerage is development expenditure at the moment for upgrading. The initial capex for sewerage is paid through the developmental budgets from developers. So if you buy properties, you are paying for your sewerage, for your water supply facilities, for electricity, for internet connection and whatnot. Yeah, so water-related risk, flood mitigation, river protection, 100% on developmental budgets. So what we are trying to do in the future is to have mixed financing mode in water sector involving government, commercial, public, and co-financing. So what can we do? and then strengthening macro planning processes. So let's go to water efficiency. So we know that ideal revenue of water sector is treated water and billed to water customers. Current revenue is treated water minus non-revenue water. Say, for example, we have industrial and domestic consumers that are the main income for water industry. So if we have 100% of current revenue minus 35% of NRW, which is about 35% at the moment. So assuming we have ideal revenue of 10 billion, that we are only what I can put easy as that. Yeah. So if you look into water efficiency, volume plus revenue, water industrial customers plus domestic to water to domestic consumers, and we have non-revenue water, which is about 35%. On top of that, we have inefficiency in water industry, industrial water in particular. So that inefficiency that we would like to address. And finally, with efficient water, more efficient water system in place, we'll be able to produce less water, and then at the same time, we have water sustainability intact. So these are the difference between water conservation versus water efficiency, beneficial reduction in water loss, waste, or use, whereas water efficiency is minimization of the amount of water used to accomplish a function, task, or result. Say, for example, domestic sector. And this is very important. From supply system, largely NRW, industrial sector is industrial inefficiency, and domestic sector is excessive usage. Assuming we can reduce by 30% of what we are now consuming, that's a lot for us. We have additional water in place. We have higher reserve margins, and at the same time, if we have any difficulties in case of our water resources being polluted, we have additional, assuming we have additional 10% or 20% in the system. Yeah. So this is something that I mentioned earlier. If we can optimize, we can also optimize up to 60%. We can optimize up to 50%. If we can optimize up to 50%, means that there will be no new water treatment plant to be built. There will be no new dams to be built. You just imagine how much saving we have. So instead of, spending money on new developments, we are improving the existing, make it more efficient, changing pipes, changing things that we can make it more efficient. So yeah, this is how we plan to use our investment for. So this is water efficiency. Jasari, berapa lama dah? Do I need to stop now so that we can have more discussion? Haji?
Again, another 5 minutes.
Okay. This is an example of Coca-Cola. In 2004, they required 2.7 liters to produce 1 liter Coke. But they have increased their efficiency. So in 2017, they used only 1.92 liters to produce 1 liter of Coca-Cola. Yeah, so it means efficiency in that sense. I don't want to talk too much on this. We know that our water tariff in Malaysia is among the cheapest compared to, say, for example, we are cheaper than Indonesia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Philippines, of course, Singapore. So this is our water consumption in Malaysia. Instead of decreasing as planned for 2020, 180 liter day per capita, or it's not LCD, LDC, and we are now at 245. So exceeding 65%, assuming we can achieve 180. So that's a lot of efficiency in the system in place. So we have 65 liter more for us to use somewhere. So this is our non-revenue water, still very high. Our plan is 25%. I just had discussion with Ministry of Finance just now on non-revenue water initiative for 2022. So we address this issue as well. Yeah. It's okay. I don't want to talk about climate resilience unless there are questions posed on it. I stop there first. Adia Sari, can we...
Okay. Tan Sri, Dr. Sri, terima kasih. Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, so I think it was rather a very quick one. 20 minutes is usually too short for Dr. Sri. However, there are very, very interesting issues that I think should be calling for questions. I think I'm still waiting from the floor, but otherwise I would be asking the question from what Dr. Sri have presented on the overall I call that approach that Dr. Sri is introducing today is quite similar to what I have learned a little bit about Toyota production system, where actually the whole thing should be looked at as holistic as possible until people can assess that things that we thought was not a waste actually is a waste. That's what Toyota found out. Because there are things that people take for granted, oh, that's not waste. But later when they do the real, what we call that step-by-step analyzing on the system, so they will consider it as waste. So I think that is what Dr. Sri was trying to show. But I like that Dr. Sri could actually explain further on that so that we can actually make it a real, something real materialized. Dr. Sri bercerita sikit tentang that one?
Yeah,
Your last
what
part.
What we require to do now is water audit. And water audit will allow us to identify areas for us to improve on efficiency. And this is very important because whenever you are in the system, developing the system, you might not be able to see inefficiency. But if you have water audit in place, so a new professional development sector for water industry is water audit. I give you an example, energy audit is very big now. I think MGTC, Malaysia Green Tech and Climate Change Center has already developed a system for training energy audits. And out of that, many people who are tired with being electricians or being electrical engineer in the past now became auditors. They go to buildings, auditing, say, you can save 100,000 a month if you do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, something like that. So we would like to do the same thing. But for water, since water is heavily subsidized in Malaysia, people ask, water is not subsidized. Water is heavily subsidized. Water resources is 100% subsidized. Water security is 100% subsidized. Yeah, so assuming the cost of water is double the actual price. So I hope government can make adjustment, a policy to be firm on that. By doing that, we will be able to know how much money you can save if you are being efficient. At the moment, you will be penalized for being more efficient, especially water operators, because less revenue for them. So for them, there is no incentive to be efficient. Yeah.
I think Dr. Sri also mentioned about water security documentation. So how far that you think that water security documentation will be going through as far as the policy of the federal government will be involved?
I give you an example. At the moment, we cannot work with other federal agencies on water security as it is. There is no fundamental or there is no principles to govern water policy in terms of funding. But I give you an example. What are water policy projects? One is water grids. So to connect pipes network so that from one scheme to another scheme, it is connected. Say, for example, for Sungai Selangor scheme and Langat scheme, they are connected. Anything happen to Semenyih, say, for example, you can get water from Sungai Selangor, vice versa. So that is not covered under the
current setting. Yeah, the
And
current setting.
the services will not do it because it's very expensive. You have to build, say for example, to have water grid. In Japan there are 3 grids in Tokyo, so we never heard
Okay.
people in Tokyo having water shortage or water rationing or something. Why? Because the connectivity is there. So in order for the connectivity to be intact, you have to have a lot of water storages, water reservoir. The water reservoir is very expensive. To connect pipes within the city is very expensive. Therefore, we need some kind of umbrella policy. We can call it water security
Water security.
to
Okay.
enable government to invest in this kind of scheme.
Okay,
For
I think
long-term
that
government, it's able to be, investors in this country, say for example, they will be ensured that anything happen, water is available. So there is
Okay.
no shortage of water in the
Yeah,
future, for example. So that's covered under water security.
Okay, Dr. Sri, there's another question from the chat box from Mr. Kolik Kyong on water tariff. This is a very burning question all the while. What is the immediate measure by the federal government? Okay.
That's going to be one of the items in the first 100 days of the minister
Oh, that's great.
of KPIs.
Okay,
We
Mr.
make it
Ko.
please, water professionals, support this. We are telling the people, if we are not putting water tariff at where it should be, for the reason of justice, not only to the people, but also to the operators, to the professionals in water sector, we are not going to get a good water system in place. So we need to pay, and the payment is not double the price or something, it just some progressions to be made. Yeah.
Okay, that is very loud and clear, Mr. Ko. So hopefully we will see within the 100 days something happening. And I think as Datuk Sri mentioned about the involvement of other water professionals like us in the session today, all of us has a role to play. Probably Datuk Sri give us some little bit more insights about the tariff review.
We call it TSM, tariff setting mechanism. It is not review, it is mechanism.
Oh,
How
yeah,
we
okay.
can set the tariff. It's look like IBR in energy sector, where the tariff is adjusted based on the pricing of the fuel. But in the case of water sector, it is mainly to cover at the moment the expenditure, and then to cover some portion of the loans that water operators taking from PAAP. So PAAP require payment from water operators. So this need to be made known to everyone. The increment is not purely to make sure that we are paying more to the water professionals, but to solve the basic issue, which is payment by the water operators to PAAP in particular. Otherwise, we cannot do more investment, CapEx. Yeah, but
Okay,
the narrative is this.
Yeah,
The narrative is this, Ajasari.
Yeah.
The narrative is this: if the government is not able to convince people that water should be paid accordingly, we will not get good water quality at home. You have more.
No water.
You have more incidents of water disruption because water operators are not able to pay. The quantum that we are talking about is not 20 million. We are talking about 20 billion.
Billion, yeah.
According to our analysis, based on our alternative financing for water sector, we require minimum of 250 billion, 250 billion by 2040. So who are going to pay that? Assuming government is paying half. So what about the other half? So it should be paid by water consumers. And water professionals should be noted to inform the public, their parents, the penalties for those who are not complying with WASIA. That's number one. Say, for example, for those who are polluting, instead of fines, we have mandatory jail sentence. Yeah, so that's number one. And then those who make, pollute water resources that can cause water disruption, they have to pay the of supplying water to the consumers that can cost 1 million a day for normal incidents in
Klang
Klang
Valley. Yeah.
The second point, we want to make sure that issues like, say, for example, funding that require direct
Foreign investment.
foreign investment is not only foreign investment, but local.
Local investment.
Open. So all the alternative water financing is mainly for water services. Yeah, it's not only based on PAP. So you have, say, for example, as I mentioned earlier, in sectors like sewerage, you might have different arrangement. So, and then third, which is very important, after 15 years, I think we need to review few fundamentals in WASIA. This is in conjunction with availability of water operators to move around more freely. Flexibility is to be ensured. Say, for example, it's not rigid so much. So this is three things that I can talk about it now.
So thank you very much, Dato Sri, for the very kind insights. I think we have a lot more to talk about, maybe in other opportunities. I think it has been a very interesting discussion. I hope that every one of you have got it well inscribed in your mind, and hope that we will actually meet all of you again. Thank you very much, Dato Sri, and thank you very much to the organizer. I'll leave back to the organizer, Henley. Up to you.